Part 2 of Eternal Yearning, based on a true story. Blossoming Love. Chapter 4. Secret Exchanges. The days in the office took on a new rhythm as Amir and Layla navigated their clandestine relationship. Each day was a dance of secrecy, filled with stolen glances, hushed conversations, and the constant fear of being discovered. Yet despite the risks, their love grew stronger, thriving in the shadows of the workplace. Their hidden corner, the small storage room, became a sanctuary. Every morning, Amir would arrive early, carefully placing a letter in their secret spot behind an old stack of files. Each note was a piece of his heart, filled with tender words and promises of a future they both longed for. Layla would find the letters during her breaks, reading them with a smile that warmed her soul. She would then leave her own letter for Amir, her delicate handwriting weaving stories of love and hope. One day, as Amir was about to place his letter, he found a small box instead. Inside was a silver bracelet with a tiny heart charm. Attached was a note from Layla. Amir, this bracelet symbolizes our bond, unbroken by distance or time. Wear it and think of me, as I always think of you. Yours, Layla. Amir's heart swelled with emotion as he slipped the bracelet onto his wrist, feeling the cool metal against his skin. It was a simple token, but it meant the world to him. He wrote a heartfelt response, promising to cherish the bracelet and their love forever. Their notes often contained poetry, dreams of the future, and reflections on their shared moments. Amir found solace in Layla's words, her letters a lifeline that kept him grounded in his love for her. Each letter was a testament to their unwavering commitment, a promise that they would endure whatever challenges came their way. As their relationship deepened, their interactions grew bolder. They began exchanging small gifts, a pressed flower, a favorite book, a piece of chocolate. These tokens, though simple, were imbued with profound meaning, symbols of their growing affection and the life they imagined together. One day Amir found a particularly poignant note from Layla. She wrote about her dreams of traveling the world with him, visiting places they had only read about in books. She spoke of Paris, with its romantic streets and iconic Eiffel Tower, and of the serene beaches of the Maldives, where they could walk hand in hand along the shore. I want to see the world with you, Amir. I want to create memories that we can cherish forever. No matter where life takes us, I know that as long as we are together, we will find happiness. Yours always, Layla. Amir's response was equally heartfelt. He wrote about his dreams of building a home with Layla, a place where they could escape the constraints of their society and live freely. He described a cozy cottage in the countryside, with a garden filled with flowers and a small library where they could spend their days reading and dreaming. Layla, I want to give you a life filled with love and joy. I want to wake up every morning knowing that you are by my side. Together we can overcome any obstacle and create a future that is truly ours. Forever yours, Amir. Their secret exchanges continued, each letter and gift strengthening their bond. They found ways to see each other outside of the office, orchestrating meetings that seemed innocent to the outside world but were filled with hidden meaning for them. Layla would visit Amir's sister, giving them a chance to steal moments together. These visits were a precious respite from the constraints of their environment, allowing them to speak freely and share their dreams. One afternoon, as Layla was leaving Amir's sister's house, Amir walked her to her car. They stood in the driveway, the setting sun casting a golden glow around them. Layla, Amir said, taking her hands in his, I know our love faces many challenges, but I believe we can overcome them. I believe in us. Layla looked into his eyes, her own filled with determination and love. I believe in us too, Amir. No matter what happens, I will always love you. They embraced, holding each other tightly as if to ward off the world outside. In that moment, they felt invincible, their love a shield against the forces that sought to keep them apart. The days turned into weeks and weeks into months, each one bringing them closer together. Their families, initially cautious, began to notice the deepening bond between Amir and Layla. Though they did not fully understand the intensity of their relationship, they grew more accepting of their connection. This tentative approval gave Amir and Layla a glimmer of hope, a belief that perhaps with time and patience, they could build a future together. But in the shadows of their happiness, uncertainty loomed. They knew that their love, though strong, was still vulnerable to the whims of their families and the strictures of their culture. They continued to navigate their secret relationship with care, always mindful of the delicate balance they had to maintain. One evening, as they sat together in their secret corner, Amir took Layla's hand and looked into her eyes. Layla, no matter what happens, I want you to know that I will always fight for us. I will always love you." Layla squeezed his hand, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "And I will always love you, Amir. Together, we can face anything." As they held each other, surrounded by the quiet hum of the office, they felt a sense of peace and determination. Their love, though tested, remained unbroken, a beacon of hope in a world filled with uncertainty. They knew that their journey was far from over, but they also knew that as long as they had each other, they could endure whatever came their way. Chapter 5. Family Approval. As the months passed, the bond between Amir and Layla grew stronger. Their love had flourished in the secrecy of the office, but now it began to extend beyond those confines. They found new ways to be together, savoring every moment they could steal. With each passing day, the desire for a future together grew more urgent, more pressing. Amir's family, initially indifferent to his blossoming relationship, began to take notice. His mother, a kind and perceptive woman, saw the light in her son's eyes whenever he spoke of Layla. She had long hoped for Amir to find happiness, and though she was wary of the societal implications, she could not deny the joy Layla brought to her son. One evening as the family gathered for dinner, Amir's mother broached the subject. "Amir," she began, her voice gentle but firm, "I've noticed how happy you seem lately. Is there someone special in your life?" Amir's heart raced. He had not expected this conversation, but he knew it was inevitable. He took a deep breath and nodded. "Yes, mother, there is someone. Her name is Layla, and I love her very much." His mother smiled, a mixture of relief and concern in her eyes. "Tell me about her." Amir spoke of Layla with passion and reverence, describing her beauty, intelligence, and kindness. He told his mother about their secret exchanges, their dreams, and the challenges they faced. As he spoke, his mother's expression softened. "I can see how much she means to you," she said finally. "But you know our customs, Amir. Have you spoken to your father about this?" Amir shook his head. "Not yet. I wanted to make sure you understood first. I know how difficult this is, but I believe Layla and I can overcome these obstacles together." His mother sighed, her eyes filled with worry. "Your father will be harder to convince, but I will support you, Amir. I want you to be happy." The following day, Amir's mother approached his father, a stern and traditional man who held the family's honor above all else. She spoke to him privately, explaining Amir's feelings and the nature of his relationship with Layla. At first, Amir's father was furious. He could not fathom the idea of his son defying societal norms and risking the family's reputation. But Amir's mother was persuasive. She reminded him of their own love story, how they had faced opposition and challenges, but had emerged stronger for it. She spoke of Amir's happiness, his dedication, and the strength of his love for Layla. After a long, intense discussion, Amir's father reluctantly agreed to meet Layla and her family. He wanted to assess the situation for himself and ensure that this relationship would not bring shame upon their family. The meeting was arranged for the following week. Amir was nervous but hopeful. He knew that this was a critical moment, one that could either pave the way for their future together or create an insurmountable barrier. On the day of the meeting, Amir and his parents dressed in their finest clothes and made their way to Layla's home. The atmosphere was tense, filled with the weight of unspoken fears and hopes. As they arrived, they were greeted by Layla's parents, who were equally apprehensive about the encounter. Layla's mother, a strong and proud woman, led them to the living room where they all sat down, the air thick with anticipation. Layla entered the room, her eyes lighting up as she saw Amir. She greeted his parents with respect and grace, her demeanor calm despite the tension. Amir's father, initially stern and reserved, began to soften as he observed Layla's poise and sincerity. She spoke eloquently about her feelings for Amir, her dreams, and her willingness to navigate the challenges they faced together. Her words, filled with love and determination, resonated deeply with everyone present. As the conversation progressed, Layla's parents also shared their thoughts and concerns. They expressed their hopes for their daughter's happiness and their belief in her judgment. Gradually, the initial tension began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of mutual understanding and respect. After what felt like an eternity, Amir's father finally spoke. "I can see that you are both serious about this relationship. While it goes against many of our customs, I believe that love and happiness are worth fighting for. If you are both willing to work hard and uphold our family's honor, I will give my blessing." Amir's heart soared with relief and joy. He glanced at Layla, who smiled back at him, her eyes filled with tears of happiness. Their love had triumphed over the first major hurdle, and the future now seemed brighter than ever. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of preparations and celebrations. Both families began to accept and embrace the relationship, slowly but surely. Amir and Layla continued to nurture their love, no longer needing to hide their feelings. They spent more time together, planning their future and dreaming of the life they would build. Their secret exchanges in the office continued, now filled with even more hope and excitement. They spoke of their wedding, their home, and the family they would one day have. Each note and gift was a promise of a future that was now within their reach. One evening, as they sat together in their favorite spot, Layla leaned her head on Amir's shoulder. "Can you believe it, Amir? Our families are starting to accept us. We can finally be together openly." Amir smiled, kissing the top of her head. "I never stopped believing, Layla. Our love is strong enough to overcome anything." Layla looked up at him, her eyes shining with love. "Thank you for never giving up on us." As they held each other, the world outside seemed to fade away. In that moment, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, united by a love that had already proven its strength and resilience. The path to their future was still uncertain, but with each other's support, they felt ready to take on whatever came their way. Chapter 6. The Turning Point. The joy and acceptance that Amir and Layla had begun to feel from their families were short-lived. Just as they started to dream of a future unburdened by secrecy, a sudden and brutal turn of events shattered their fragile happiness. The days that followed would test their love in ways they had never imagined. One evening, as Amir returned home from work, he found his father in the kitchen, pacing angrily and talking heatedly with his mother. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and Amir could sense that something terrible had happened. "Father, what's wrong?" Amir asked, his voice trembling with anxiety. His father turned to him, his face flushed with anger. "Your love for Layla has brought disgrace to this family. Her mother approached me today, demanding that we finalize this marriage before rumors start to spread." Amir's heart sank. He had hoped that their family's acceptance would pave the way for a peaceful future, but it seemed that Layla's mother had taken matters into her own hands, pushing the issue in a way that threatened to tear everything apart. "Father, I love Layla. I want to marry her," Amir said, trying to remain calm. "But why is this such a problem now?" "Because her mother has no right to dictate terms to me," his father shouted, his fists clenched. "She insulted our family's honor by making such demands. I will not be told what to do by anyone, especially not by another woman." Amir's mother tried to intervene, her voice soothing and conciliatory. "Please, let's discuss this calmly. We all want the best for our children." But Amir's father was beyond reasoning. His pride had been wounded, and he saw no way to back down without losing face. "We will settle this tonight," he declared. "Get in the car, we are going to their house." Amir's heart raced as they drove to Layla's home. His mother sat beside him, tears streaming down her face, while his father stared ahead, his expression set in grim determination. Amir felt a sense of impending doom, knowing that this confrontation could end in disaster. When they arrived, Layla's parents opened the door, their faces drawn with tension. Layla stood behind them, her eyes wide with fear and worry. The families exchanged cold greetings before Amir's father spoke. "Your daughter has ensnared my son, and you have the audacity to make demands of me?" he began, his voice dripping with contempt. "If this is how you wish to resolve things, then let it be known that Amir is no longer my son. He can stay with you if he wishes, but he will have no place in my house." Layla's mother stepped forward, her eyes blazing with anger. "Our families have been friends for years. We want the best for our children, but I will not allow my daughter to be treated like this. Amir, do you want to marry Layla or not?" Amir felt as though the world was closing in on him. He looked at Layla, her eyes pleading with him, and then at his father, who stood rigid with anger. I want to marry Layla," he said, his voice breaking. His father's reaction was immediate and brutal. "Then you are no longer my son," he shouted. "Get out! Live with them if that's what you want. You are dead to me." The words hit Amir like a physical blow. Before he could respond, Layla's mother slapped him hard across the face. "You coward! You speak of love, but you let your father dictate your life." Amir's mother wept openly as his father turned and walked out, refusing to look back. Layla's father, his face pale with shock, grabbed his daughter by the arm and pulled her inside. "This is over. You are not welcome here," he said, slamming the door shut. The drive home was a silent nightmare. Amir felt numb, his mind reeling from the confrontation. He could still hear Layla's cries as her brother dragged her away. His mother's sobs filled the car, while his father remained stonily silent. When they reached home, Amir went straight to his room, collapsing onto his bed. He felt as though his world had been torn apart. The pain of losing Layla, combined with his father's rejection, was unbearable. He cried until he had no tears left, his heart breaking with every sob. The next morning, the reality of the situation hit him hard. He was trapped between his love for Layla and his loyalty to his family. He could not bear the thought of causing more pain, but he also could not imagine a life without Layla. Days turned into weeks, and the silence at home grew more oppressive. Amir's father refused to speak to him, and his mother, though sympathetic, was powerless to change the situation. Layla's family cut off all contact, and Amir had no way of reaching her. Shattered dreams. Chapter 7. The Fallout. The fallout from the confrontation between Amir's and Layla's families left an indelible mark on both their lives. The once vibrant and hopeful Amir was now a shadow of his former self, weighed down by the crushing guilt of Layla's father's death and the rejection from his own family. Each day felt like an endless cycle of pain and regret. Amir's father continued to maintain a stony silence, his pride and anger creating an impenetrable wall between them. His mother, torn between her love for her son and her duty to her husband, could do little to alleviate the tension. The home that had once been filled with warmth and love now felt like a prison. Amir's days were a blur of numbness. He went through the motions of his daily routine, but his heart was no longer in it. He avoided his friends, too ashamed to share his pain, and found solace only in his memories of Layla. Every corner of the city reminded him of her, and he would often find himself wandering the streets aimlessly, lost in thought. One evening, as Amir sat alone in his room, he received a call from his sister. She had always been his confidant, the one person who understood him completely. Her voice was filled with concern as she spoke. "Amir, I've heard that Layla's family is struggling. Her father's death has left them in a difficult situation, and Layla is not doing well. She misses you." The news hit Amir like a physical blow. The thought of Layla suffering, of her family struggling, was unbearable. He had to do something, anything, to make things right, but he knew that his father would never allow him to reach out to her. Desperate for a solution, Amir decided to take matters into his own hands. He knew that he had to leave home, to find a way to escape the oppressive environment and create a new life for himself. The only option that seemed viable was to join the military. It would provide him with an escape and, he hoped, a chance to prove himself. The decision was not easy. Amir knew that it would break his mother's heart, but he could see no other way. He spoke to her one evening, explaining his decision with a heavy heart. "Mother, I can't stay here any longer. Every day is a reminder of what I've lost, and I can't bear it. I need to leave to find a way to move forward. Joining the military is the only way I can think of." His mother wept, but she understood. "Amir, I wish things could be different. I wish I could make the pain go away. But if this is what you need to do, I will support you. Just promise me you'll stay safe." Amir nodded, his heart aching with the knowledge that he was causing her more pain. "I promise, Mother." Within weeks, Amir was enlisted and sent to a training camp far from home. The grueling physical and mental demands of military life provided a temporary distraction from his sorrow. Each day was a test of endurance, and Amir threw himself into the challenges with a determination born of desperation. Despite the harsh conditions, Amir found a strange solace in the structure and discipline of military life. It gave him a purpose, a reason to get up each morning. But no matter how hard he tried, he could not escape the memories of Layla. She haunted his dreams, her face a constant presence in his mind. Letters from home were few and far between. His mother wrote regularly, her words filled with love and encouragement. His father, however, remained silent. The distance between them seemed insurmountable, and Amir wondered if they would ever reconcile. After 2 years of service, Amir returned home, a changed man. The military had hardened him, both physically and emotionally. He had learned to suppress his feelings, to focus on the task at hand, but the pain of losing Layla and the unresolved conflict with his father remained a constant ache. Upon his return, Amir found his family much the same. His mother was older, her face lined with worry and sorrow. His father, though visibly aged, still carried the same rigid pride. The atmosphere at home was tense, and Amir knew that he could not stay there for long. He decided to leave again, this time to find work in another city. He hoped that by putting distance between himself and his past, he might find a way to heal. But no matter where he went, the memories of Layla followed him. Years passed, and Amir built a life for himself, moving from city to city, taking on various jobs. He tried to create a sense of normalcy, but the emptiness in his heart remained. He heard occasional news about Layla through mutual friends and family. She had moved abroad with her family, seeking a fresh start. Amir clung to the hope that one day he might see her again. His nights were filled with dreams of their time together, and his days were haunted by the reality of their separation. He could never fully move on, always holding on to the love they had shared. One day, he learned that Layla had returned to their hometown for a visit. His heart raced with a mix of hope and fear. He decided to visit her, to see if there was any chance of reconciliation. With his sister by his side, Amir drove to Layla's home, carrying a bouquet of flowers as a peace offering. As they arrived, Amir stayed in the car, his heart pounding with anticipation. His sister went inside, but soon he heard raised voices and saw her running back to the car in tears. "It's over, Amir," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "Her mother blames us for everything. They will never forgive us." The words felt like a final blow, extinguishing the last flicker of hope in Amir's heart. He realized that the love he had cherished for so long was now an impossible dream, forever out of reach. Desperate to escape the memories and the pain, Amir made the difficult decision to leave his country. He applied for immigration and after a long and arduous process found himself in the United States, the land of opportunity where he hoped to find a new beginning. But even in this new land, the shadow of Layla's love followed him. He built a life, found a job, made friends, but his heart remained anchored to the past. He would often search for her online, his heart breaking anew each time he saw her wedding photos. Layla's face, even in the happiest moments of her new life, bore traces of sorrow. Amir could see it in her eyes, the same pain he felt every day. He wondered if she had been forced into marriage, if she was truly happy. 30 years passed, and the memories of Layla remained as vivid as ever. Amir lived with her in his dreams, finding solace in the moments they had shared. He tried to move on, but every relationship felt hollow, every connection artificial. One day his therapist suggested he seek closure by visiting Layla, talking to her, but Amir refused. He couldn't risk causing her more pain. He chose to live with his memories, holding on to the love that had defined his life. As he sat by the window watching the sunset, Amir whispered a silent prayer for Layla's happiness. His love for her was eternal, a beacon that had guided him through the darkest times. And in that love he found a measure of peace, knowing that true love, though often fraught with pain, is a gift that never fades. Follow us for the rest of this story to be continued in the next video.